Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Cleveland rocked the Celtics in Game 2 to even their Eastern Conference playoff series. And after Game 1 out west, you could envision a sweep for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But Luka Doncic would have plenty to say about that in Game 2. Plus, the Suns made the easy decision on Frank Vogel. Game off, we got to talk about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
We're going to Cleveland, all tied up. The Cavaliers took it to the Boston Celtics in Boston in Game 2, a 118-94 win. Chris Manning from Locked On Cavs joins me now. And Chris, this was, again, the Donovan Mitchell show, but he got a much more complete performance from the other guys. What was the key for you in this one?
Evan Mobley, I think, is where to start. I think it has to be him. He was dominant, I think, on defense. He was aggressive on offense. He was scoring. He took a three and made it in this game, something he hadn't done since early in the Magic series. And he was really giving Boston problems all over the floor. He was aggressive. He was everything. He was arguably, I think, the most impactful player on the floor in this game. The biggest performance for him of his NBA career so far.
Yeah, 21, 10, and 5. And just 4 days ago, Chris, you and I were on this very show having the conversation. Evan Mobley, what did they need from him to make this series competitive? It seems like this is the version. We got our answer. This is it.
I think defensively is where you start. He protected the rim. He was contesting shots. He was up for the physicality, even when Jaylen Brown scored through him. And he got. He just keeps coming back and back and back. But then offensively, he had a ton of utility, which I think we are seeing with Jared Allen out. There's maybe just more room, which is a big thing. 9 of 15, 1 of 2 from 3. He had 5 assists. He was actually providing a lot on offense in this game, which hasn't always happened. And it feels like when he's playing center, even if physically at times it can be a lot for him, and it has proven to be at times, he looks more comfortable. His offensive role is cleaner when it's just him at center. And that was the case in this game, and it gave Boston a lot of problems. It was not a mistake, Peter, that Boston's first comeback in this game, and really only one, came in the first half when they took Mobley off the floor, got his rest, and had some foul trouble. And they went small, and it didn't work. It also is worth noting that the day of this game, Brad Daugherty, who is a Cavs analyst, who is a franchise legend, was on local radio and said that Evan Mobley was playing through a badly sprained ankle. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if he was just saying stuff to say stuff on local radio. But if on top of that, just adds to the myth of this Evan Mobley game, which you'll take that if you're the Cavs.
One thing, you mentioned the aggressiveness, the assertiveness. This is just the second time since the end of February, Evan Mobley has gotten up 15 or more field goal attempts. So how can they facilitate him to be a bigger part of this offense? Because it seems like when they get him the ball in that mid-post free throw line, like he can make passes, had 5 assists in this one. Like there is some nice things he can do in this game. How do they find that balance between letting Donovan Mitchell go cook and also finding ways to get Evan Mobley involved?
I think you saw it this game. They had intentional cutting. They had different variations of this play they run called double drag, where often a big and a guard screen for Mitchell. They have different variations of that play on stagger screens on the perimeter. They're moving the ball more aggressively. And I think, Peter, the added benefit of that is that Donovan Mitchell has this knee issue that's been bothering him. I don't think he's at 100% right now. I think you saw him, even though he still had 29, he had 8 assists, had a big game still. I think emphasizing Mobley in this way and running things this way meant Mitchell didn't have to burn all of his energy every single time down. He was able to go at a certain point and go harder at certain points, I think, because they did this. So I think it's do this, you play spaced out, you run, you're a little more intentional with what you're doing offensively, And I think then you layer that in with knowing Mitchell's going to get his. I think it's a recipe for Cleveland.
I just checked. This is the 6th time this season he has attempted 15 or more field goals.
It's tough. It's hard with him and Jared Allen. They've been an awesome defensive pairing. There is a real question, Peter, about what I think it means that Mobley has played next to center at this point in his career. I look at guys like Chet Holmgren and OKC who just got thrown into that deep end. I look at Victor Wembanyama. Yeah. Obviously, he's a whole other level, but these teams decided to say, I mean, he's an alien in the definition of alien, but those teams decided we're going to take our big skinny guy and throw him to the deep end right away, and that's going to be how he learns. The Cavs have had training wheels on Mobley with two centers. They play a style that not a lot of teams play. I think there's an interesting conversation to be had about what that meant for Mobley's development. It's hard for the Cavs to be candid about it, obviously, and because it'd just be throwing Jared Allen under the bus. But I think they might have cost Mobley some reps that we're starting to see now him get when he can just be the center on spacing and how much easier it looks for him.
Thanks for making Locked On Sports today your first listen. Coming up, Luka Doncic tried to avoid going down 0-2. Before we get to that, some early season baseball action. We've all been there, either as a player or a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard is not looking good. You're feeling low, not sure you or your team can pull out a win. That's when you dig deep, you lift your head up and you say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists and take as much of my friend's money as I possibly can. That's right, the smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone. Anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards. Make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. Charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests and in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put your game face on, and download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The Phoenix Suns reportedly already have a front runner to replace Frank Vogel. More on that firing coming up. Former Milwaukee Bucks head coach Mike Budenholzer is the favorite to land the gig, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. Budenholzer took Milwaukee to their first NBA title in 50 years back in 2021 when they beat, you might remember, the Phoenix Suns. We already know Kevin Durant subscribes to the if you can't beat him, join him stance, so this would fit there. The Minnesota Twins are hotter than the surface of the sun right now.
Twins coming in, trying to take their 5th series in a row. Game 4 versus Seattle today. Pablo Lopez on the mound, and Twins just jumped out right in front, right out the gate. It might have been their best first inning of the entire year. 5 runs to start this whole thing with a bang. Margot, 3 RBIs right off the jump. Kepler and Santana both had an RBI as well. They end up getting through the entire lineup in the first inning alone. Then Jeffers comes out in the second. He hits his 8th home run of the year. More on him here in a few minutes. And then by the 7th inning, CJ, you look up, scoreboard says 11-1. Minnesota Twins. Margot with 5 RBIs on the day. That ties his career high. Kepler, his 3rd home run of the year, 2 RBIs on the day. Great day for Miranda, 2 for 4, 3 runs scored. And then on the flip side of things, Pablo Lopez, dude brought his A game today. 6 1/3, 4 hits, just 1 earned run, 10-0 strikeout to walk ratio on 100 pitches. He was phenomenal. And
the Astros bats came alive early in the Bronx.
This was a complete team win. Everybody took part in it somehow, some way, and even the ones that didn't, the other teammates picked them up. When you thought things were going to be lost, when you saw that home run be given up by Presley, you're like, here we go again, right? And it was scary in the end, but these are the kind of bend, don't break wins that we've not been getting. Eric, this wasn't a 1-run game. Well, yeah, no, it was a 1-run game, right? Yeah, so we're 2-9 in 1-run games. So it's our second victory, and I'll take it as a moral boost. And if Ronel Blanco isn't considered our best pitcher right now, then I don't know who is, because he absolutely went out and dealt today.
And the Cincinnati Reds are starting to dig themselves into quite an early season hole after dropping their 8th straight.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm getting really drained by this team. Like that. What's up? This is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast. And 8 losses now in a row for your Cincinnati Reds. Kind of been holding off on these like post-game short videos in hopes that they would win, and then I'd get to talk about a win. But it seems like as soon as they figure out the hitting, because they looked pretty good in the series finale against the Arizona Diamondbacks with the bats, then they can't base run, and they don't have clutch pitching from the bullpen. I don't know, like, am I reassessing my expectations for this team? I don't know. Maybe it's still too early for that, but is it?
It was a night of revenge. First, the Cavaliers squared their series with the Boston Celtics. Then Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks go into Oklahoma City and steal game 2, 119-110. And steal is uncharitable. The Mavericks controlled this game most of the way. Nick Angstadt from Locked On Mavs joins me now. And Nick, we talked after game 1 about what the Mavericks didn't get from Luka Doncic, who was clearly not 100%. 29, 10, and 7 in a game where they only got 9 points in 41 minutes from Kyrie Irving.
It was one of those games where there's a moment in the fourth quarter where Luka gets tripped up. You know, it's a Cason Wallace is running with him in transition. I didn't think it was dirty or anything like that. He trips up. He's holding his ankle. He's complaining on the way down. And all of a sudden, the breath completely was taken out of my lungs. And I am used to. I have not been beaten by a Luka boo-boo this season where he like starts holding his leg or something, and then all of a sudden he is better, right? Like I will not get fooled by that. But this time I was like, oh no, he's been dealing with these leg injuries. He's holding that left leg. Something's going on. And then all of a sudden, the very next play, he hits a step back 3 splash right in the Thunder's face. And that was the kind of game that it was where Luka it looked like he was down. And then all of a sudden he was back 29 points. Like you said, 7 of 11 from 3. Luka has not shot the ball well at all from 3. He's shooting like in the teens percentage wise in these playoffs. And this was the best he's obviously looked from 3 so far in these playoffs.
Yeah, they also got a huge night from PJ Washington, 29 points, 11 rebounds to go along with it. And that was a midseason trade that did not get a lot of pub, but I know that you have been talking about it. I think you had a tweet in the middle of the game that said, thank God for PJ Washington or something to that effect. What did he give them in this one?
Yeah, they do a pregame prayer. I think they're the only NBA team that does like a pregame prayer before every home game here with the Thunder. And so I thought that it was, just fitting that I should thank the Lord and thank God for PJ Washington in this game because 29 points. I mean, he 7 of 11 for 3, absolutely insane. He hit 7 of 11. Luka 5 of 8, by the way. I messed that number up. But PJ, absolutely
both really
insane.
good, turns out.
Both very good. But PJ gave them exactly what they needed. He's been playing defense really, really well. He's been giving them that extra, you just need a little bit more attack off of a closeout, just a little bit more, take the shot and be confident in it. Tim Hardaway Jr. had not been confident. Dante Exum's been taken out of the rotation. Derek Jones Jr. is not super confident in his 3. Like the Mavericks are starting, Maxi Kleba is out. They're starting to lose these guys that are really confident with their 3-point shooting. And PJ Washington came in and was like, hey, bet, I'll be that guy.
What I think is particularly troublesome if you're Oklahoma City is you get an awesome Shea game, 38, 12, and 8 on good efficiency. You don't get anything out of Kyrie Irving, at least from a scoring standpoint. And this is a 9-point game at the end of it. And it's just sort of like, okay, there's still a level that we know Luka Doncic, if he gets a little bit healthier, can get to. We've seen him go supernova. We know Kyrie Irving can give you 40 in a playoff game. And defensively, this was a pretty good performance by Dallas. If you're Oklahoma City, this has got to be a little unnerving that this is how this went down.
I'll push back in that we got a great Shea game. You got a normal Shea game. He had the most 30-point games in the NBA. That was
he's a great player, so you got it. You got a good Shea game. Yeah. Okay.
But 33 points for the second in MVP voting, that's a fine Shea game. He gave you what he normally is going to give you. The difference was he got to the free throw line 6 times. I mean, that's the difference in the game there, is that the officiating was just a little bit more even. There was missed calls on both sides. There was a bunch of just weird stuff that happened. There was challenges and all that. But what the Mavs got was they got contributions from role players in P.J. Washington, who we talked about, and Tim Hardaway Jr., who literally came out of nowhere, Peter. I just need you to understand that Tim Hardaway Jr., I had written him off so hard that I was just like, can he come in and play 5 minutes? Can he come in and hit 1-3? Can he come in? Like, that's where I was with him before this series, just saying, can he give them literally anything? And instead, he comes in after the injury, which he didn't play a lot in the Clippers series, didn't play that well in game 1 against the Clippers, 17 points, and was like passing lobs to Derek Lively, which we've seen a little bit here this season, but he was hitting mid-range jumpers. He was running pick and roll. I'm like, who is this guy? But welcome back, Tim Hardaway Jr. The Mavs will absolutely take it. They needed one more role player desperately, and Tim Hardaway Jr. stepped up to the plate.
How does this, if at all, affect the way that you view the Mavs' ability to win this series? Obviously, you lose game 1. You're okay, this is going to be an uphill climb. But to do it this way, obviously, maybe some outlier role player performances here. But on the road, how has your perception of this series changed?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is the Mavs made the Thunder offense, especially in the second half, look rushed. They made them look like they were kind of confused in what they were trying to do, and that's a real big key. The Mavericks, I mentioned the loss of Maxey. That is a massive loss to their defense. Yeah. He's a guy that can defend a lot of different positions, gives them a lot of different looks, and so losing him was a really big deal. Luka, with his injury, like the more he gets injured, the more like that starts hurting him, whether it was or not tonight. It's kind of hard to tell, but his defense just lacks from that, and so then all of a sudden you're siphoning off your good defensive things and what makes you a good defensive team and what made you really good against the Clippers on defense. And so the fact that the Mavericks were able to do that, they got a good shooting Luka game. So it's like, all right, that's possible. It's possible to slow the Thunder down, to not give them all these transition buckets. The Mavericks only had 9 turnovers, I think, in the game. So they slowed them down that way, didn't give them extra transition buckets. They slowed down their offense. And the fact that they can do that, and then, they got some of these outlier role player games, but that's the playoffs, man. Like, that's going to happen at times, and you need a little bit of luck and a little magic to win some playoff games.
Stay up to date on the Dallas Mavericks all year by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Mavericks on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, the Suns' decision to fire Frank Vogel was an easy one. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and their best price guarantee, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. GameTime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and GameTime picks the seats for big-time savings. And the GameTime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the free app and new users can get $20 off their first purchase with code Locked On. Terms apply. That's code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase with GameTime. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. The Suns' locker room never came together this year under Frank Vogel, and neither did the offense. Pretty hard to run it back when that's the starting point of the yearly evaluation, as Locked On Suns host Brendan Clean points out.
I'll start with the most embarrassing, maybe the final straw, the last domino. That Athletic article that came out, right? It illustrated the 2 primary things that I think have to be held against Vogel, if only because there's nobody else to hold them against. The locker room did not seem to be galvanized around him, to say the very least, right? And the offensive end of the floor never quite got to a point of the dominance that we would expect. And I would say it wasn't greater than the sum of its parts. It may have even been worse than the talent that they had on that side of the court, right? Even if you go after Christmas when Bradley Beal got back, they were the 7th offense in the NBA. Is that good enough? Well, this move would signal maybe not. And of course, the Athletic article indicating that for Kevin Durant in particular, it was not suiting him like he would prefer. So leadership was not quite there. and the offense was not quite there.
It's not just easy from a qualitative standpoint when you look at the issues the team had. I will point out that they played much better defensively than anyone thought they could with this roster, and Frank Vogel is a really good defensive coach. No one essentially disputes that. But the reason this was easy is not just that. This was easy from a process standpoint. And easy here is also coded for a little lazy, but also they couldn't do anything else because the roster is the roster. When you trade half of the real estate in Scottsdale to go get Kevin Durant, and then you bring in the massive contract that is Bradley Beal, even on a cheap trade because that's where Bradley Beal wanted to go, you are locked in. This is not locked on, locked in to this team. There's nothing you can do. You can't fire the players. We see this all the time. Players underperform expectations and you can't fire the players. This is the team. So you make the move that you feel like is the only thing you can do to try and shake things up. I do also wonder if the way that the Wolves have looked so far in the Denver series has to recalibrate the way that we feel about what happened in that series. Phoenix getting unceremoniously dismissed by Minnesota. If Minnesota also then goes on and sweeps Nikola Jokic, the MVP, and the defending champion Nuggets, maybe we feel a little bit different about the urgency to make that kind of big change, but it's too late. We all hate it when our teams lose because of a missed call. Of course, most of the time, there are plenty of explanations for a loss outside of one missed call by an official, but I digress. Rick Carlisle believes the refs missed a lot more than just one call in New York. The Pacers have filed a protest citing 78 missed calls by officials in the two games against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. If that seems like a misprint, it's not. 78. Talking about getting the protest sent to the league office, Carlisle said, "I'm always talking to our guys about not making it about the officials, but we want to deserve a fair shot." We don't want to make it about the officials, but this was about the officials. Was Angel Hernandez officiating these games? My baseball fans. If you know, you know. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Coming up on the next Locked On Sports Today, where will the NBA playoffs be on Monday? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.